Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the Bear & Sons neck knife. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll get right to it. Hey, everybody. Now, this knife here I've had for a little while. I believe I picked it up for the wife. It was at a hardware store, and it was actually a little pricey, to be honest with you. And it kind of just got thrown in the box, and there's some very specific reasons for that, and we'll get to it. Now, primary reason was has no retention whatsoever. So, can't carry this around your neck hanging. So, whoop, real easy, and then cut yourself. Now, the reason I didn't care for it much because it has that recurve. Whereas I'm not knocking them. I mean, they're fine. They do their job just fine. I'm just not a fan of them. I prefer, more your simple flat blades. She's decently thick. Now, this handle, on the other hand, that heavily skeletonized. This is obviously a horrendously dangerous to rely on kind of knife. As you can see there, that gets quite thin through here. And whereas, yes, you could absolutely put some scales on this, and that's not so much a problem. It's just that the failure points are pretty extreme for this. I would definitely prefer that the skeletonization had been nowhere near as aggressive. If they could have left a lot more meat in between the holes they cut out, would have done a lot for the the strength of the knife. But I will say this though, it is a 1095 high carbon. And I'll show you on the blade. That'll focus. That's the Bear & Son logo. Now 1095 is a fantastic knife steel. The processes for producing that steel and then using it for knife making, right now it's pretty much, most people that do make knives out of 1095, if they're using tried and true methods, fantastic steel, a really good high quality steel for it. Now, that being said, now for general cutting tasks, this thing, it's absolutely fine. If you're cutting tape, cardboard, maybe you need it real quick to peel an apple, cut some cordage and stuff like that. If you're using it in that regards, I don't think you're gonna have to worry about that break. Now, me, I tend to want to focus more on bushcraft, survival, and prepping and stuff of that nature. So I won't want to have this to rely on it. Now this may be something that I could throw in a kit. It'd be a backup blade just for general cutting tasks. And since we are, let's go ahead and get to cutting here just a little bit. Now, I did hone this up a little bit. The edge on it wasn't stellar. Far from the worst I've ever received, though. And it will do little things like helping you get fine material for processing a fire. This thing will do just fine. Those are pretty uniform, decently thin. They nice and curled up on themselves. So that's not too much of a problem. Now, just for getting in there and hogging some wood and stuff, I mean, it can do it to an extent, but it's going to be uncomfortable. Not really made for that, but I mean, you can obviously just grab it and start reducing material off a piece of wood. Now there is a little lanyard back here, and a lot of times, and also don't always think that the lanyard is meant, like I'm going to tie this lanyard on, get it around my hand so I can just wail on stuff. Let me know, often if you're outside and you're in the cold, or wet conditions and stuff. Now, what a lanyard will also really help do is prevent you from losing your tool or knife or hatchet, axe, whatever the case may be. Uh, Now, there's a lot of cases something may happen and you're working, say you're up on someplace kind of high, and especially like if you're using a multi-tool or something, uh, having that lanyard, attached to your wrist, if you accidentally slip, drop your tool, it keep you from losing it. I can think of out in the wild, like during the winter, if you've broken through some ice or something like that, obviously you might be cold, tired, hands are frozen, slippery conditions. Like if you're using a hatchet or an axe or something to bust through some ice, try to do a little bit of ice fishing. You've had that lanyard on there, it'd be horrible if you partially had the hole and you weren't finished, you're widening it, and it slipped right out of your hand and boop, right down into the river underneath the ice. So lanyards are just not always for, securing the cutting tool to you so you can just, whale and chop on stuff. It's not their only use. So having the option to do a lanyard, you're doing some fine cutting and stuff, and you don't want to drop this thing. So especially if you're out in the fall and you got a lot of heavy leaf coverage and you happen to lose this thing, it may take you a little while to find it. So there's that. Alrighty, guys. Now we've got us a little bit of cordage here. Plenty bit of that bootlace left. Now, it's a good thing about this, if you are cutting cordage, the way this is designed here, if you put your cordage, say, back through here, and you're going to draw this way, and also it's kind of a combination pull forward, this really forces the material to bunch up into the cut. So that actually assists you in cutting through material when you're using a knife that's got that recurve to it. So it almost looks like a little mini kukuri or something of that nature. All right, let's take this little piece we cut off here, and we'll just put her on the log. I cut that pretty clean. Oop, just about dropped it. Pretty clean cut right there. Yep, no problem. I just had a little tiny nub left, couldn't really hold it. And I'll say again, that's a good thing about if your 1095 is properly annealed, heat treated, and your all your grinds and your edges done right, fantastic steel, has a very long life. Or is having to rehone that edge, you can actually get a lot of cutting out of that. Real fast, guys, we're just going to head and cut some cardboard here. That was pretty ugly cut. So this thing definitely needs a little bit more. Like I said, I'd barely done. I don't think any of us really even used this, because after we got it home, we got it out of the packaging, and I saw that the sheath was pretty much a no-go. That was a little better. I got that down. See a little bit of white. I put that down there near that recurve part. So that wanted to help grab the material. So it definitely needs touched up, but it's not hateful. It's definitely usable. And the thickness on this thing is, like I said, it's kind of crazy thick for as anemic as the handle is. And it keeps a lot of girth all the way down into our grind here. And I'm not 100% sure what this grind is. It seems to me it was almost like they attempted to do a hollow, but it's too thick to be hollow. So I'm not 100% sure. Now, this traction coating they have on it, it's to protect the steel from rusting, but it's got that texture to it, and it is rough. It's not super rough, but when it comes to slicing, this kind of coating absolutely will interfere with good clean slices past the edge itself. So I'm not crazy about that in itself, but as using it as a utility blade, it's not that big of a deal, because like I said, it'll protect the blade from rusting, and it's a pretty tough coating. It almost puts me in mind of coating that's like on Essie's. But well, like I said, is what it is. But if you're using this as a general utility knife, it's not a problem. Not a problem at all. All right, guys. So what do I think? Overall, not too bad. Like I said, I've only got two gripes, and that's one. You probably fix yourself with a heat gun, and so, a couple pieces of board. Maybe put some heavy duty kind of foam in between each pieces of wood, so you can make a real quick, easy press. Heat this thing up, put the knife in it, and give a nice, good, firm press, and hold it for a while till it cools. And it may tighten this up to the point where it'll actually stay in there. The breakaway necklace is fine. I prefer paracord with a 25-pound carabiner, S-beaner on it, but I understand, the safety protocol for this, and I'm not going to knock that because that's totally understandable. Now, the knife handle itself, not a huge fan of cutouts to begin with, and these are extreme cutouts. I mean, there is very, very little steel left, and when you want to, you break it down to just is what it is, the hardcore facts. This is the strongest this knife handle is the thinnest weakest point in this piece right here. Now, if that snaps on you, breaks off, I mean, granted, you can grip it clear up here, pinch grip it, and you put your finger back here. You can still use it somewhat, but I'd much prefer my handles not to be that easily damaged. I wish I could remember the price on this thing, guys. It's been so long, I cannot remember, but I know it was over $50. I'm thinking it may have been closer to $80, $90. I just can't remember. Maybe $70, $75 for this. And I don't even know if it's even out there to purchase anymore. But there's a lot of, for the price, there's far better options out there. I mean, yeah. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend this based on that alone, because between the sheath not being even usable as it comes, or, granted, this could just be my sheath. That doesn't mean all the sheaths that they made for this was, the same. The biggest roadblock for me to suggest this with, any, I got doubts. I don't want to, and it's just how thin that is. That's crazy thin skeletonization. However, guys, it was just a little something I had, and I figured I'd do a video on it. There's nothing else. It's a curiosity. But for that, guys, I appreciate y'all watching, and I'll see y'all in another video.